And with us right now, we've got Julie Seal-Gaustad. Julie, you're the CEO and founder of Mirus Promotions. You're on the web at miruspromotions.com. That's MIRUS promotions.com. And so, Julie, you are in the business of identifying and sourcing brand ambassadors, spokespeople, would you say, for brands? I'm summing it up, but I'm sure you have a much better way of sharing exactly what you do.
Yes, definitely. So that is actually our flagship experience or service, shall I say, because obviously with our current situation, we have had to transform. But our essential purpose is building brands through meaningful experiences. And that used to be only face-to-face or belly-to-belly, as they call it in the CPG industry, where we would provide brand ambassadors to go out representing our clients' brands, services, products, where their target customers are at crucial activation points. So in-store demos, trade shows, festivals. We would do merchandising and connect with store employees and management. So that was our flagship service. Yes.
So I noticed that I see you work with a lot of beverage brands. And of course, this is going to be something that's really important to, a beverage brand for someone to, and I'm really interested in learning what makes a great I don't want to say brand rep, but that's how I would kind of view them. Like we've gone to like tastings, for example. Yeah. And so a really, really good spokesperson, you can see that they're not just dialing it in, right? Where they're just going through the features and benefits, but you can see where they actually, listen, today, I'm so excited to talk to you about this. Like you can't get away from nothing. Like people know when you're phoning it in. People know when you're being inauthentic. People know when you're just like, yeah, I'm just here for the paycheck, right? And so I would imagine then that that's one area and why you've done so well historically with Mirus is that it's probably a really big part of your sourcing and training to make sure that the client is thrilled with the experience and the feedback that they get.
Right, exactly. And we have a process that we have developed and tested. I mean, we started with one brand in San Diego in 2009 with just a local group of ambassadors and have since grown to a nationwide level. So we've taken with, up to 200 brands that we represent in various areas. So we've taken that process of vetting, recruiting and vetting our brand ambassadors, getting them trained, making sure that they are a good representation of the brand. They would be consumers themselves if they aren't already, so that they can, like you said, speak authentically to the target customer, and even, converting a non-potential customer that maybe they have those specific points, or they can see where somebody's eyes light up about something that they're talking about, or a flavor of something where they can really engage people that way. But it's like we were talking about pre-recording is, in 2009 when social media was on the rise, people out in the stores, at least when I was doing in-store demos, were thriving on this face-to-face human connection experience. And so I saw that there was a need in the shift from promotional model to brand ambassador, where, brands were looking for people who were extensions of their company. And so those are the people that we hire.
Yeah, before, we were chatting a little bit before this interview, and we were talking about, how much evolution has taken place. And so brands don't need just a pretty face.
Yes, correct. I mean, there's definitely a time and place, when we're at a huge event and maybe they need men or women there to be there for photos or something like that, where there might be that particular need. But, we're looking for not just a pretty face or a handsome face. It's, can you engage with people? Do you know how to ask questions to get people to come over to learn more from you about the brand? And can you speak authentically about what you're representing? And it's almost like everywhere you go, you're making friends is basically what we're doing. So
yeah.
Yeah.
The way I like to think about it is like, listen, if think about it like, any movie that you've seen that you just really, really love. And how do you talk about that? So Hamilton on the Disney Channel, so some people on social are just raving about it, and they're sharing fun things, and they're sharing, their favorite lines, their favorite moments, or how well the adaptation was to the streaming screen. And I'm like, that's exact that I think that's kind of what you want to replicate, that kind of very authentic, like, let me share my experience of Bacardi or whatever. Here's why I love the Bacardi brand. And so it's more about the experience of it. Obviously you need to, maybe those key differentiators or those talking points or whatever, kind of working those in. And Julie, I should point out, and to the person who's listening to this, this is something that I've done well over 100 times on TV with different brands. So I do have a lot of experience with this. So it's a subject that I care very passionately about, from the perspective that if you were a brand and you want to hire a spokesperson, that what it is that you're asking for. Because if you don't, you could be very easily disappointed by the experience and not really get the return on investment that you're hoping.
Right. And it's our job to ask those questions. So, we do work with a lot of emerging brands, or brands that maybe have done everything in-house. They've never actually worked with an agency, so they may not know the questions to ask or exactly what they could expect, or maybe they've gotten something different from a different agency and it was well below their expectations. Mm-hmm. So our internal team is trained to ask all the right questions to make sure that the program is set up for success, the event is set up for success, the brand ambassador is set up for success, so that we can give that consumer the best experience, where then they go and, like you said, online, and share their experience, drive people to stores, drive people to, the website to buy, and help engage that way, which actually we, as I had mentioned, we have recently had to pivot, because obviously we can't do face-to-face right now. As of, mid-March, everything just stopped for us. And it was a scary time, but it's also been an exhilarating time, because we have actually added on 2 new divisions to the company. So it's all about experiences, as opposed, like I said, to just face-to-face experiences now. Mm-hmm. And we thought, how can we replicate that online? So we're actually doing influencer marketing now, where we have our brand ambassadors, who are, the majority of them are micro influencers, but we do have some macro and mega macro. And they're already working with the brands that we work with, or they already, would be or are consumers of the brands that we are bringing on to our influencer marketing program. And just like you were just talking about, they are authentically sharing their experience with a particular product, why the people that follow them, who already know, like, and trust them, should go to the e-commerce website and buy this, or should go to Bristol Farms down the street and pick it up. So that has just been a fascinating and exciting experience. And we actually saw in our original test where micros were seeing 2.5 times the engagement of a macro influencer or a mega macro. So we see that there is this need here and this opportunity for our clients and future clients, where we have access to this huge network. We've already done all the time it takes to find the right influencers and brand ambassadors, even for the face-to-face down the road. We've already taken out that time. We have all of the right people to match the brand or the category, or, there's a couple brands we work with that they want to focus on moms, or they want to focus on people with dietary restrictions, diabetic, or special diet keto. So we saw there was, in our test, we ran 1 Instagram post and 1 video, and there were over 7,000 impressions that we had just from those 2 pieces from 1 person. I mean, that's just from 1 person alone.
Yeah.
So we saw that there
Julie,
was this opportunity.
do you mind me asking, just for basic definition, like, what do you use to kind of categorize a micro versus a macro versus what you called, I think, a super macro?
Yeah, we use
Before you kind of
mega
get to
macro.
celebrity.
Yes, yes. So our micros are 1 to 10,000 followers.
Oh
And
my
we do have,
goodness. Wow.
yeah, yeah. And then macro is anything above that, I think up to 50,000. And then on top of that, 50,000 plus. But our focus is mainly on those micro between 1 and 10,000 because that's where we
Yeah.
saw the most results. So
Here's what I've noticed about most micro influencers too, is a lot of times, you know, they'll work on trade. Like I have found like, I'll do, you know, depending on what the offer is and what the audience is, what they're after, whatever. A lot of times I'm like, listen, if you want to send me the product, if I love it, then I'd happily share it and you don't have to pay me. Like if it's something that I would really value, I've done lots of that sort of thing.
yeah.
And you know, you just disclose everything and so forth. But micros, I find we're very readily able to do that. Or, you know, maybe something that's even performance based. Although you might not necessarily negotiate those types of deals, but I find that they're out there. Now, I'll say the advantage, Julie, to working with you, I couldn't even, if you're a brand, don't even, I'll just listen, take it from me. Don't even think about doing this yourself. I think it's going to be, it's going to be like, I'm thinking of the, you know,
like,
Hercules having to clean
I'm going to say it. So I appreciate you saying
it's an insane, you need to really know what you are doing. You are talking about actively having to manage, you know, hundreds of relationships because you're talking about micros. Good luck. That's a lot of communication. And so if you don't already have that database put together, you're going to have to build it from scratch. And that, Julie, that is a lot of work.
Yes.
And I mean, I could just speak from experience. I can speak as an influencer myself, and not if I hate using that term, but as an, you know, potential ambassador, but, you know, I've done brand ambassador stuff. Like I ignore almost everything that comes into my inbox. And what my next question is going to be, what is, let's say that there is somebody like, okay, Josh, I understand that. Just hire Julie. You know, and again, here's the website. It's miruspromotions.com, MIRUS promotions.com. But, and by the way, I am not a brand ambassador for Julie. I genuinely.
You are now. No.
I unintentionally
checks in
am.
the mail.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that having been said, what are best practices if I am a brand and I want to, let's say there is a potential relationship with a micro macro influencer, like what is the conversation that I want to have with that brand ambassador about before we get into any kind of engagement?
Sure. That's a great question. You definitely want to know what your message is. What do you want? And are they going to do a post? Are they going to do an Insta live? Are they going to do a video? So, you know, content is going to be key. What do you mean the content? You need to know, what are your hashtags? Have you done the research to find out, you know, which hashtags do you want to focus on? Do you already have your Instagram handles, and are you prepared for the influx of traffic that may come in? Are you e-commerce? Or are you driving people to retail? So what is your goal? What are your expectations? What are your desired results? And all of these things are going to go into what we call our brief to the influencer or the online ambassador, and to prepare them, where you could have an exact message. My recommendation is, if you have drawn out an exact message, you know, word by word, you need to still have them with their voice. So somehow they can be able to adjust the message so that it sounds more authentic, where it is a true, and it feels like a true endorsement. The other thing is, you know, if you have specifics on, you know, are there going to be props in the photo or the video, and what do those look like, and how are you going to reimburse them? And, you know, there's all these different things, but I would say content is going to be key. Know what your hashtags are going to be, and make sure that you still allow for some creativity. I would say those are probably the top things to think about.
When you are identifying influencers, what goes into your vetting process?
Oh gosh, a lot of wine and late nights. No kidding. It's when you said it's time consuming, it is, but that's why it's so great, because we already have this network, and we already have, our process is proprietary, and we're actually going to be running a webinar on July 23rd to talk more about strategy and how people can, try to replicate this themselves. But as far as trying to find the right influencers, it is very time consuming. But if you know who your target customer is, take a look at, and once you know your hashtags, take a look at the hashtags that are your key hashtags. And then you start looking at, are you looking at female, male? Are you doing both? Are you doing, I don't know, but there has to be a certain look or feel on somebody's page. Do you want something that's more informal and casual, or do you want to work with somebody that has very professional photos and they're all very glossy? So those are the kinds of things that you want to be looking for. But I would start with looking at your target hashtags and who is tagging those items.
Yeah. If I were, let's say that, that I've got a bunch of followers on social, I really kind of love my topic that I frequently talk about, if it's travel or, whatever it is, right? I love hair care products or something like that. How can I make myself more attractive to brand opportunities?
That's great. I would say, think about the brands that you align with and look for them. And I would message them and just say, hey, I love your brand. I am a customer. I'd like to be a potential customer. I'd like to try your products because it looks like something that I would use. Here's my contact information if you'd like to talk more or work together. But the biggest thing is, making sure that the message, if and when you do become an influencer for this brand, that you actually do align with the brand so that it's authentic.
Yeah.
So looking for brands that you would want to work with, start following them. What are they saying? And what are their influencers doing and saying? And how many followers do they have? And what are they looking for? And pitch yourself that way.
Yeah. What do you think about the idea? Now, I've done this, and I've gotten some really great deals out of doing this. Is if there is a brand that I just naturally, organically come across and I really like it, like I'm not afraid to share that and tag them and say, listen, and just say to everybody, like, I really love this brand. This is not a paid thing or whatever, but I tag them and say, thanks for, producing finally, like I remember I did this with, it was a sugar-free barbecue sauce, G Hughes, I think it was. And so I tagged them, and I didn't end up working with them, but that was just one example I'm thinking of, where I'm like, I freaking love your product. I think what a great thing to do, by the way. I got to tell you that you have to as a brand owner myself, I mean, when someone leaves you or creates user-generated content and just says something nice about you, man, that makes the world a better place. I think that if we made a practice of calling out one, small business owner or a brand or a person and just saying something nice about them publicly, I really think that first off, I'll just say, watch what happens, because I think you're going to open yourself up to opportunities. Number two, I think you're just going to make your world happier. You're instilling happiness in people.
Right. And word of mouth, online reviews and user-generated content is the new word of mouth. I mean, there's, you can still talk to your friends and, text somebody, oh my gosh, I found this, you should try this. But think about, Facebook, I can't think of what the word is, not Facebook referrals, but when people ask for recommendations, hey, I'm looking for a plumber. And then all your friends who live locally are, you should try this, you should try this, you should try this. Or, one of the things that we're doing is reputation marketing. So we're helping small and medium-sized businesses to help them solicit and generate more reviews. Because think about when you're looking for a dentist in the area, a new dentist, it's, what are you searching for? Dentists in San Diego. Who are you going to look at first? The people that have the most reviews, the highest reviews. It's online word of mouth is where it's at.
Yeah. So Julie, for someone who is like, okay, I love what Julie's talking about. I don't know what the cost of engagement would be for you. If someone is starting to put together a budget for something like that and they were to hire you, like what should they plan on? I mean, I don't even know. Like, they might even like, I don't know. Like, we just want maybe can we buy 5 micro influencers? Like, they might just like. I think many people are like, I don't even know where to start. Like,
Right.
where does someone start with you, and like, what should they plan on?
Yeah, no, I appreciate asking that, because that is one of the barriers, is that people don't really understand it yet, or they don't understand what they need. Where it's like, they're like, I want to do this, but I don't know how to start, and I don't know where to go. And anyway, so just visit our website. Go to the website, go to the contact us. You can even put in the little notes that you heard me on the show, and I'll follow up with you and set up a call, and we'll talk about your specific individual goals. That could be, if you're in CPG industry, that could be a combination of in-store demos or merchandising, when we're allowed to do in-store demos again, but merchandising and influencer marketing. Or maybe you have a physical location, so we can top off, let's start soliciting some reviews for your product and service. So the best way is to go to the website, contact us, and then you'll check off the services and support that you are interested in learning more about. And let's just have a call and talk about your goals, and we'll ask you some questions and be like, okay, this is what we suggest for you and with your budget.
So, and then you said that you were doing a training by the time this publishes that will have already been done, of course. Will you have that in archive that people could watch or listen to that? Or is there any other content that you'd recommend for people that just want to learn from you?
Yes, we do have content on our website, on our blog page, and we will have some more videos coming here pretty soon. But as far as the webinar, we will be offering it more than once. But our first webinar will be this month, and then we'll just continue to do it because we really think that it's of value and it can really help brands grow, especially right now when people are on social media 2 hours and 20 minutes a day. And I look, I'm like, am I on social media that long? How does anybody have that kind of time? But we have that time right now. And what are we doing? We're shopping online. So it's just perfect timing now and beyond.
Wow. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Julie. This has been really great. Again, Julie Seal-Gaustad. And again, you're the CEO and founder of Mirus Promotions. Your website is miruspromotions.com. That's MIRUS promotions.com. Julie, thank you so much for this. Love geeking out on all things like, influencer and brand rep and, what am I thinking? Reputation management, that sort of thing. And so thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Josh, for the opportunity, and we'll see y'all soon.